George Lucas explains the style behind Anakin and Padmé's romance in Attack of the Clones. Hello there, and welcome back to another video. Today, we'll be taking a look at another excerpt from the Star Wars archives by Paul Duncan. This one features Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman sharing their perspectives on Anakin and Padmé's budding romance, before George Lucas addresses the nature of their dialogue and the style behind it. Episode 1 was setting up the characters and the situations for the next 5 films, so there wasn't a lot of storyline for any of the characters beyond the action of the movie. Queen Amidala was a very mask-like character. She didn't really have any dramatic relationships with other characters, so I had to internalize everything. Here, she's found someone who changes her, and she changes from being a stoic queen figure to someone who is able to fall in love and open up and tell her life story. She can have fun and giggle and be a normal girl. In the dining room scene, he's trying to show off to her by using his Jedi tricks. Anakin feels passionate for Padme, but at the same time he's intent on becoming the best Jedi he can. He understands that as a Jedi, he's not supposed to fall in love in a romantic sense. Those conflicting desires root his anxiety in this film. I think maybe that startles Padme at first and causes her to back off a little bit. Throughout the film, they're put in these very extreme settings. They're in hiding. They spend a lot of time in a lakeside palace or in grassy fields, and it's really conducive to two people finding very passionate emotions for each other, even though they both understand that maybe they shouldn't. Padme doesn't want to fall in love with Anakin because she has, as she says, more important things to do than fall in love. She sees a future for herself as a leader helping people and as someone who can change things for the better in a youthful, idealistic way. She doesn't really think that putting herself first and giving into her love is the right thing for her to do for her people. Padme is able to resist her temptations, which probably attracts Anakin that much more because she is so strong-willed. That struggle continues throughout the film until near the end where they're able to express how they really feel for the first time. Let's face it, their dialogue in that scene is pretty corny. It is presented very honestly, it isn't tongue-in-cheek at all, and it's played to the hilt. But it is consistent, not only with the rest of the movie, but with the overall Star Wars style. Most people don't understand the style of Star Wars. They don't get that there is an underlying motif that is very much like a 1930s Western or Saturday matinee serial. It's in the more romantic period of making movies and adventure films, and this film is even more of a melodrama than the others. Okay, let's analyze this. The first thing that really sticks out to me is how Natalie Portman describes Padme as a stoic character, but Anakin was the one who was able to change her. Something about him allowed her to open up, and just be a girl who felt like she could fall in love. Natalie Portman frames Padme as someone who chooses duty over desire, someone who believes that falling in love would mean putting herself before the people she's meant to serve. Hayden Christensen, on the other hand, describes Anakin as someone who is already emotionally conflicted, pulled between passion and expectation, attachment and restraint. When you place those two characters together, the awkwardness in their dialogue isn't a mistake. It's a reflection of who they are at that point in their lives. They're operating under pressure and trying to navigate feelings they both believe they shouldn't be having. And as for Anakin, he's also probably a bit emotionally inexperienced. One of the biggest criticisms of the prequels is the dialogue. If you've watched the behind the scenes, the George Lucas interviews, or even just understand the characters, it makes sense why George chose the dialogue to be the way it is. He is a very strong supporter of telling stories through pictures, with dialogue playing the supporting role. The dialogue isn't meant to be modern, subtle, or ironic. It's deliberately sincere, heightened, and melodramatic, rooted in the tradition of classic adventure serials and romantic films from an earlier era. In that context, Anakin and Padme's romance isn't supposed to feel natural or comfortable. It's meant to feel intense, idealistic, and slightly unnatural, because it's built on restraint, secrecy, and emotional imbalance. And when viewed that way, the romance in Attack of the Clones isn't a flaw in the film, but it's intentional, and a reflection of the characters and the era it's drawing from. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this breakdown and you'd like to see more like this, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Seriously, something as little as a like goes a long way to helping me. Until next time, may the Force be with you, always.